طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. This is me again, Dr. Sameh, and this is an unscheduled revision class. I have been away يعني for 2 weeks. I promised you a number of revision classes, and I think I delivered on my promises, but I thought if we have time, we can meet and we can do some last minute preparation together. طبعا assuming that you have done everything, that you have studied very hard and you're preparing, you're almost done preparing for the final exam. So it's not the usual kind of revision where I have to go over every single item because we have already done that. Let's make it like some kind of an a Q&A kind of session where you may want to scratch your head and come up with questions, and I'll be more than happy to kind of try to answer them. Answers are not conclusive. Everyone is entitled to his opinion. You can come up with your own ideas as long as you are within the line that we have set for you in terms of ideas and everything. So I'll give you like a couple of minutes to think, and let's be perhaps organized by specifying, the novel or the work, the picture book that we're working on. We're going to start from uh, uh, um, whatever we have finished last, which was Tom's Midnight Garden, and then go all the way to the other things. So you guys have 2 minutes to perhaps scribble something on a piece of paper, questions, concerns. Um, I don't know. I mean, again, your questions may vary between, essay questions, close reading questions. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to think and then come back to me, and we are on our way, inshallah. You guys have 2 minutes to think, and we're talking about Tom's Midnight Garden, mind you. Um, I mean, I said 2 minutes, yeah. So wait until everybody else is ready, and we can always collect questions and answer them.
Okay.
I need the link. I don't know. Can somebody send me the link on WhatsApp? The masterclass link.
I will.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay. Let me just remind those who have just joined that we're doing a revision, and it's some kind of Q&A kind of format where you guys try to scratch your heads and come up with as many questions as you possibly can. So we're starting with Tom's Midnight Garden, and I think I'm ready to receive the questions, the queries that you guys have. I think we need to, we're going to start with Layan because Layan raised her hand way back. Layan, come to the mic and ask.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Um, um, Firstly, according to the final exam, um, 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 is there a high possibility? I mean, according to the essay questions, um, the, um, يعني if they will be three options, will uh, is is it certain that two of them will be about Tom's Midnight Garden and the other side of truth, and the third question will be from the tale of Peter Rabbit, or can one of these or can one of these questions one of or can one of these questions will be about voices in the park, or what?
And it's up for grabs. I mean, what is certain is that you're going to have an essay question on Tom's, at least one essay question on Tom's Midnight Garden. We will have another on the other side of truth. I mean, it's diversified in the sense that if you have all, I mean, the works with you, you'll have one from each. How and why, I don't know, but normally in the final exam, Tom's Midnight Garden, I mean, account for a huge part of the exam. How many questions? I don't know. At least one in the essay question part. Does this answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Fine. This was a procedural question. I would like people to ask about the content itself. Yeah, Alia, go ahead.
I want to ask about the idea of conservatism in the Tom's Midnight Garden. We should talk about only the garden and what kind of symbols it shows us in the novel, or what kind of ideas we should write on it.
Are you talking about
The
conservation
conserv,
or conservatism? Because obviously they mean two different
yeah,
things. Conservation means that you
conservatism.
conserve. I mean, I
No,
don't
no,
see any conservatism in the novel unless you're talking about the old generation and their ideas and how they stick to their old ideas. And
yeah,
on the
yes,
other hand, you would have the ideas of the new generation, which is obviously normally liberal and forward-looking. Are you talking about that?
yes, 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 about
Well,
that, yes,
that's an interesting. Again, you remember when we said that we have this gap between generations. You can always talk about that within or along those lines. You talk about Tom and his questions about time, about the imagination, and you talk about the other family members, whether we're talking about the uncle or the aunt, and how different their views are, and talk about even their moods, the fact that their moods are always swaying. They are unable to listen and to debate. Being, of course, belonging to the old generation, they think that they have edge or an edge over the young generation. Okay, so I mean, this is also part of the traditions of the Victorian age. Remember, that the novel is rooted in and is inspired by Victorian values. And one of those values would be the idea that you have to show respect to the elders, no matter how futile and no matter how trivial their ideas are. So there is a hierarchy of a sort that you have to honor and respect. And obviously, Tom is not doing that. Tom has his own views. But of course, over time, he's going to be hardened by the experiences that he's going to go through. And he's going to accept whatever he is not accepting now in terms of, I mean, the idea of the futility of human wishes, the fact that there is this inevitability of life. We are moving forward and in a linear way. We're young today, tomorrow we're old, and so on. So you have those poles, those polarities, the old and the young generations, and their differences. And I think we spoke much about that. Hmm. You
Thank
need
you
to
so
go and
much.
revisit your notes on that, Yalia. Thank you so much. That's a very interesting question, though. Hmm. Yeah. Okay, Fatma Hassan.
Yes,
I
yes,
don't
doctor.
believe you don't belong with us, right, Fatma?
No,
You're either with
doctor.
Dr. Arwa or
Doctor,
Dr. Mars. Dr. Mars.
doctor, I have a question about the close reading
Yeah.
for Tom's Midnight Garden.
Okay.
How we should answer the question in a
How?
very
Yeah.
successful way.
Let me ask you about your experience, close reading experience when you did the midterm exam. So did you choose the close reading question? Was it a picture? Or I think
Yes,
it
a
was a
picture.
picture, right? How
Yes.
did you handle that? Can you tell us?
Actually, I have analyzed the picture.
Nice. So you broke it down to its basic components, right?
Yes,
And then you spoke about the underlying philosophy behind the underlying ideas and themes, right?
yes,
So this is what we exactly want you to do with the final, even if you have a text, not a picture. Okay, what is interesting about EA300B, and I keep telling my students that you guys are lucky because we normally give you the theme. We tell you in the prompt that the theme or the topic is this and that. Okay, so this is different from, for example, A to 30A or B, where part of your job, part of the answer would be to identify the theme and the ideas, and then you build on that, right? So we don't have that in EA300B. We give you the theme, and all you need to do is to read the passage very well because it's very significant and it's full of ideas. And then you try to connect the ideas together and come up with a decent essay. So you're writing an essay after all, but the prompt is longer than the prompt that you have in another topic or in another question. So you need to underline the key. I mean, while doing the exam, you need to kind of underline significant parts because make no mistake about it, we give you a passage that is very significant, okay? And you underline it, you put the threads together, and then you write an essay. So again, you may want to locate or establish where that part of the passage is and connect it to whatever came before and whatever comes after. So you provide me with a context. Context is about time and place. So where it happened and when it happened and perhaps why. Okay, and then you build on that and you develop a decent essay. Okay, so it's about comprehensiveness. Comprehensiveness means that you need to cover all the aspects of the question. Again, I keep telling people that the more you write, the better. So writing too little is not a good thing to do. So write write as much as you can, but in a sensible way. It's not about filling the page, as you may know, right?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Hmm. Can we have other people? Does it, are we all using university accounts? Does it ask you for accounts to join the class? Because I'm making it open for everyone, right? For some reason, wait, wait. Wait, everyone. Somebody is trying to access the room, but for some reason says no. Yeah. Okay. Yell. Sandy, you're raising your hand. Go ahead.
Yes, doctor. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Doctor, I have a question regarding Tom's Midnight.
Okay.
So there is some concepts. If we get asked about, it's very little to write about it. Like let's say we have to write around 200 words in short answer, or let's say half a page or a page. So some
Yes.
are very short to write about. So do we like add some more information from our understanding, or do we stick to the topic that is asked?
I mean, writing sensibly and answering a question in a comprehensive way, whether it's short or long, would mean that you have a lot to talk about. Yeah, address the question, and then you may want to add um, your viewpoint if there is room for that. I think people shouldn't be short of words. The concern would be that you write little from. I mean, you've been reading, you've been comprehending and processing lots of things, and I don't believe that you have a problem with writing much. Write much and write sensibly. And I'm sure you can find a lot to talk about. I mean, just before you answer, you need to, like I said, you need to underline the significant parts of the question, whether the question is a short answer question or a long essay. It depends on how you look at the question and how much you can extract from the question. Yeah, Sandy. Again,
يعني
when it comes to short answers, half a page is would be the minimum if you ask me. And I'm sure you can find a lot of ideas to develop and talk about. Again, it's about relevance and it's about comprehensiveness. Yeah, you were saying something, yes, Andy. Go ahead.
يعني the most important thing is to يعني answer the topic, but we can add from our understanding, right? It will
Yeah,
not affect.
you add something relevant, of course. I mean, you provide examples. you reflect on the experience that the question projects, that's fine.
Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Doctor,
Yeah, go ahead.
uh, what is the minimum that you said?
I said
What's
this is yeah, this is what I said in the midterm, and I think it worked well with lots of people, whether they belong to my class or to the other classes. Half a page would be a minimum for the short answer question.
okay?
You don't write a couple of sentences or a small paragraph and you want, I mean, the full mark for this question. No, half a page would be fine. Yeah. Any more questions on Tom's Midnight Garden? Okay, طيب, let's talk about Tom's Midnight Garden. Let's make a like some kind of inventory of the things that we have covered. And, of course, we're not going to be very exhaustive because this is not the time for exhaustiveness. We have done that already. But let's kind of remind ourselves of what we have been doing with Tom's Midnight Garden because it has taken so long, I mean, and so many classes. So, what do you still remember about the most important themes and topics in Tom's Midnight Garden? Come to the mic and share with us. Yeah, Sandy, go ahead. We will
Uh,
have Sandy and then move on to Alia.
uh, the most important
Sorry.
thing,
Yes.
the most important thing I remember about Tom's Midnight is the coming of age. How sometimes he can see her like as a child, then another time he can see her as an adult.
You mean you're
And
talking about the novel as a coming of age, a Bildungsroman kind of
yes,
novel? Okay, can you define what a coming of age novel is?
it explores the theme of time, personal growth, and the
Mm.
fluid nature of reality.
Yeah, it's about, having this spectacle of somebody who grows up and grows up physically and um, epistemologically or mentally and intellectually. He he or she, he for the most part, grows in front of our eyes. At one point, he was unaware of what happens in the world, but over time, he develops and gains experience and knowledge about the world. He gets hardened by the experiences that he gets exposed to. And this is pretty much what happened to Tom, right? The Tom of the beginning is totally different from the Tom of the end. Remember, the first word that we have in the novel was the word exile. He felt that he was exiled, which is obviously a very big word for somebody moving from his home to another home, perhaps in another town, for healing reasons. So it shows us that he was not very appreciative of what his parents were doing. And obviously, whatever they were doing was in his best interest. And they didn't want him to contract the disease or the illness that his brother had. Over time, he's going to come to the realization that whatever they did was in his best interest, along with other things that he was not aware of, that he was not very kind of welcoming of, but over time he realizes, especially the idea of leaving the garden forever, letting go of Hattie and accepting the fact that she grew and she became an old woman. So the idea of living in the garden forever uh, is, I mean, he came to the realization that this is not possible. He has to come back to reality. He has to come to terms with lots of the facts that we have in life. One of them is that the idea of transience, the fact that um, we change, we grow, we die. So these are facts of life that he came to appreciate at the end of the novel. That would make it a coming of age novel, like Sandy is saying. Yes. Sandy, is this the only thing that you have noticed about Tom's Midnight Garden, or you have more?
There is also the difference between Tom in the real and in the fantastic world. How he was shaped in real life and how he was shaped in the fantastic world or the garden itself.
Yeah, which is obviously a variation on this idea of living in reality and going to the garden with its fantastical elements and going all the way back to the Victorian age with its values. Yes, yeah, this is also very important, the power of the imagination, okay? And how the imagination can give you the fuel that you need so that you can go back to reality and live a life armed with knowledge, armed with understanding and appreciation. So again, it's all about momentarily leaving the world that we live in. You go to, I mean, you live in the imagination, which can be very escapist, according to some people. If you go and live in the imagination, and this can be escapist, and this is what the things, one of the things that people were taking against Tom's Midnight Garden as a novel. But again, what counts is the end. Where is Tom at the end? Is he still living in the imagination, or he came back to Earth? So the reality is that he came back to reality. He started to deal with life and what life brings, starting to get hardened by the experiences of life. He now accepts whatever he never accepted in the past. Yeah, thank you. Hmm. Alia,
Yes, doctor. You said
yes.
most of the points that I want to say.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I found from the first chapter, Exile, that how Tom's felt lonely and isolated in his cousin's house, which leads him to um contact or um, see Hattie and connect with her, which leads us to see how they bond very strong and have a strong connection between them, and leads us to see a fantasy adventure in the book.
Yeah, the idea
And
of bonding is very important. The idea of
yeah,
bonding, and
this
that
point,
sometimes you need a friend, sometimes you need somebody to support you, to give you the support
yes,
that
yes,
you need. And this is what Hattie did with Tom. Again, that would bring us to the idea of the influence that Hattie has had on Tom. Remember her transformative role in his life. Had it not been
yeah,
for her, had it not been for her stories and whatever happened to her in her life, he wouldn't have changed. He wouldn't have seen life. He wouldn't
yes,
have gone through the experiences that he had. So Hattie is very transformative. Hattie is,
it's
remember,
important in the story.
yeah, absolutely. And this is what
No
I even
Hattie, no
said at one
story.
point, that Hattie can be the heroine of the story. And this
Yes,
is
you said
something that I spoke about, and spoke about the bias that you may perceive having
mhm,
having to have a male as the titular hero. Hattie has
yes,
every right to claim, I mean, being the hero or the heroine of the story, if you ask.
Of
Yeah,
the
that's a very
story, yes.
interesting point. Yeah, Alia. Thank you for it.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Any other ideas? Yeah, Dina, can you come to the mic and share? So obviously, Dina is referring to the fact that this is a time slip kind of novel, yes, and the different types of time. Again, I mean, historical linear time, and the other kind of time, which is obviously the time where you need to suspend your disbelief. You need to suspend the fact that whatever you are seeing unfolding is reality, because it wasn't, especially when we talk about Hattie and how she grew. I mean, the fact that she was, I mean, it was a very quick-based kind of growth that we're not accustomed to. So yeah, again, it's a time slip kind of novel that, yeah, there is a great deal of talk about. Also, the fact that Tom meets Hattie at, let me check what Dina wrote. So the novel is a time slip story because Tom doesn't physically travel through time. Also, the fact that Tom meets Hattie at different periods of her life, but he stays the same age while she was growing up. Yeah, again, this is the difference between Tom and Hattie. Again, Hattie would belong more to the realm of the imagination. She comes from another reality, another parallel world in order to play certain roles. And that's why when she, I mean, when her part is up, she grew up and she became Mrs. Bartholomew, right? Very transformative, very instrumental in the change that we see in Tom at the end of the novel. Yeah. Again, we spoke about the power of the imagination. We also spoke about the garden itself and its significance, and what the garden means and stands for. Again, we're stressing the fact that the garden is this place where you need to perhaps go to in order to take rest and reflect on life, get exposed to other experiences, and go all the way back to reality. Now that you have the fuel that you need to fight life, to to meet life realities. I mean, the idea of time, the idea of transience, the inevitability of everything, the vanity of human wishes, right? So these are things that you wouldn't, or Tom wouldn't have kind of realized if there was no God. Yeah. Obviously, if we keep talking about Tom's Midnight Garden, we wouldn't stop because it's very significant. It's full of ideas, and all those ideas are very significant. So I assume that you have done enough, and perhaps more than enough reading and everything. I think we need to move forward, and let's move to the other side of truth. Before we do just that, let's listen to what Layan has to say. Yeah, Layan, go ahead.
I can ask at the end, not now.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, let's move to the other side of truth. Another interesting story, very vibrant, very relatable. Um, it's full of interesting ideas, hot topics. I mean, the idea of immigration, the idea of exile, the idea of political um, persecution. It's full of ideas, right? And then responsibilities, whether we're talking about parents' responsibilities toward their children, towards their children, the idea of being economical with truth, and whether this is right, you have to tell the truth all the time, or perhaps you have to kind of maneuver somehow. Should the father be very strict with the idea of truth telling, or should he maneuver and strategize? And what came out of it? Remember when he was inflexible? We'll talk about all of it. I'm just reminding you of the themes and the ideas that the novel is about. So, any other ideas when we talk about the other side of truth? What do you still remember about the other side of truth? Lots of ideas, I promise you. Alia, go ahead.
I remembered the idea, the role of media, and
Oh,
how
yeah,
it differs
media.
from Nigeria and
Mm-hmm.
England.
Mm-hmm.
While the role of media in Nigeria is controlled by the government, and no one should talk any bad thing about how government rules in the country. While in England, they are freely to talk anything about the corruption, the
Yeah,
bad ideas that happen in the society. So it is okay in England. And in
mm,
the other side of truth, Nado, the writer, show us how it differs from country to country.
yeah, yeah. That's yeah, the role of media. Yeah, very important, which is obviously related to the idea of truth telling. Yeah. What other ideas do we have, everyone?
Also, as you said before, the role of parents, the responsibility. They should think about their kids before taking any action, especially if it's related to corruption or bad ideas that related to society. So they should take care of their family before they start to moving in their plan to tell the people the truth.
Yeah, that's interesting. Any other ideas? How about the
Yes.
idea? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
What what was the name, or what is the name of Shade and Femi's mother, or or um, or or it or her name? It is not obvious.
I don't believe she has a name in the novel. And it didn't occur to me to ask, because obviously, if you refer, I mean, you simply refer to the fact that she is their mother. The mother, we say the mother. Okay, we say the father, even though we know the name of the father. But it's the mother, because we only have one single mother in the novel, right? So this is obviously not a concern. I promise you, yeah, Alia. Yeah, Leah. How about the idea of agency, child agency, and whatever that means? Yeah, go ahead, yes, Andy.
I was going to talk about child age, and that it's a
Yeah,
very important thing in this novel, and
yeah,
how the child Said was responsible for her brother, and how she tried to protect him, and how she
yeah.
carried out a mission to save her father, and waited for she waited for the news to be published and everything, so she can first of all defend her parents, and
Mm.
second to let people see how they were oppressed in Nigeria, and what they went through when they were seeking asylum.
Asylum, asylum.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. We need to also perhaps start with the idea that children do not choose to live or to play parts that are not their own. So as children, they are children. They are meant to play and okay. So for them to take responsibility for their own lives and the other lives of others, to try to make the change that they want to see in the world, for I mean, obviously, when they do that, they are forced to do that. And of course, Shade is a very good example of just that. The fact that she was forced to take responsibility and to take over and to show us this agency that we're talking about. And then you talk about the different manifestations of agency, what she did, the fact that she was taking care of her brother, the fact that she had to even defend her father, and sometimes uh, um, hide part of the truth so that he doesn't get harmed, he doesn't get deported to Nigeria. Agency also is very clear when she kind of tried to talk through the different media platforms in order to garner and kind of drum up support for him and for his cause. Remember when she went to what was this journalist or program, 7 o'clock, and what she did there, and she popularized the case of her father until he he was the townsfolk, and they could win over the authorities on their side and everything. So this is agency. This is agency of children. And again, they were forced to take up this kind of agent. They didn't choose actually, but when they were put in those situations, they proved very reliable. They proved very effective. Yeah. Serena. Serena is raising her hand.
Doctor, like, can we say for the agency thing, part of it is that Jade got parentified because of her circumstances?
Uh, Shade got what?
Parentified.
Oh, I'm sorry, I cannot hear the word. Can you write it in the chat?
Parentified.
Whatever that means, I'm sorry. معلش ما خدتهاش في الكلية. Hmm. Parentified يعني ايه يا سيرينا? What does it mean?
It means when children are usually taking the role of the parent in the relationship between siblings because of circumstances of where the parents aren't there, or when the parents aren't doing as well of a
Yeah,
job as.
yeah, absolutely. This is exactly what happened. She had to take up the mantle of a parent. Again, she was forced to do that. Yes. Again, this is agency. And like I said, this is untimely agency. Agency that you don't choose. You need to take over, you need to take uh, um, care of your younger brother, you need to protect him against the bullying and the bad behavior of others at school. Yeah, she had to do that. Yes, absolutely. You're correct, yeah, Serena. Yes, she had to do that. She had to take up
Thank you,
the
doctor.
role of the parents because obviously they were absent. One of them got killed. I mean, the mother and the father were disappeared part of the time. And also, you would always compare the attitude of his inflexibility with the flexibility of Shade herself. The fact that she looked into the matters, she studies them very well, and then she starts to see whether she has to go ahead and tell the truth or perhaps maneuver and strategize. Yeah, go ahead, Serena. You were saying something interesting.
Yeah, I was just asking if it's okay to write that in the exam, like if it'll be correct.
Yeah, but I'm not sure about the use of the word parent. Is it something?
Parentified.
Ah, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, ma'am. Like I said, we haven't taken it back at school. It's a new word for me. Sorry for
Oh, it's
that.
all right, doctor.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, you can use the word. Yeah. Provided
Thank you,
that the
doctor.
Dr. Mohsen or Dr. Aru understands what it means, because I now know it. If you are in my class, I'll give you the full mark if I see it.
Thank you, doctor.
Yeah, thank you, Serena. Thank you. Yeah, more questions?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Yelaya.
Will the final exam will it be very hard or not very hard?
Why hard? Yeah, now we're talking about we're not talking about rocket science ولا حاجة يعني. It's things that we've been talking about for months and months, talking about relatable incidents and experiences. We're talking about stories that we have read in and out. يعني ليه? I would like you to dismiss those fears يا ليان. You're doing an excellent job already. اكتبي يا ليان. Write and write sensibly, and you are on your way towards يعني getting a very high mark إن شاء الله.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Again, the other side of truth is full of ideas, interesting ideas. And I think your boy is to write about any of those ideas. Yeah, I mean, you have enough information, you have enough examples. You don't have to worry about anything if it's, the other side of truth, hopefully. Let's move on. Let's move to Voices in the Park. Any new insights? Because we have done a revision class on that, on Voices in the Park. So what do you still remember about Voices in the Park?
Can I?
Yes, go ahead.
The mothers, I mean, Charles' mother, her attire, is, um, it is, يعني she wears it, probably because she adheres to 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 the um, يعني يعني um, the, yeah, the hairstyle, her attire,
You mean
hairstyle.
your hairstyle reflects her class, the fact that she's high class?
Yeah, in addition that she adheres to old traditions and to the old traditions. Yeah, the, I will make sure that the information, I have the information, but I will make sure what is exactly, and I will now mention it. يعني
طيب. No problem, inshallah. Okay, thank you. Sandy?
Uh, from my point of view, the most important thing in Voices in the Park first is the four different characters and
Mm,
how are each sharing their perspectives during the visit to the park and how the story unfolds through their individual voices.
mm,
We can see that the mother and her son especially the mother, actually, she have the difference in class. She didn't want her son to play with the man's daughter because she sees herself as a high class woman, and she doesn't want her son to be involved with lower class people. And also we have the picture,
Mm.
in which it has like so many meanings, the colors in the pictures, which unfolds to us like how the emotions were, how the feelings of people, and we have the metaphor of the gorillas.
Yes.
So it has like so many important themes in this story, and it's very long, to be honest, and
Yeah, I
very
mean,
difficult.
like I said, I mean, all of them have lots of ideas. I mean, again, if we don't stop ourselves, if we don't kind put a stop to the discussions, we're likely to stay until the end of perhaps the day or the night talking, because they are full of ideas, and those ideas are developable. I don't know. I'm coining new words today. What I'm trying to say is that they have this capacity for development. You can develop them and you can come up with so many ideas. Again, because now our experiences are big. I mean, we're not first year students. We have ideas, and we bring those ideas to the discussion. So that's why we have so many ideas. That's why we have so many themes. So this is good news, because whatever uh, um, you encounter in terms of questions, you find ideas for. Again, the story or this picture book may seem little, may seem simple, but it's like I said, it's full of meanings, it's full of value, it's full of ideas. Again, chief on and on top of those ideas would be the idea of class conflicts, that we have different classes, and I mean social classes, and those classes interact. And obviously, the differences are more than whatever unites them. See the mother and her attitude, antagonistic as it is, and you have even the father was not happy. The kids are trying to reach out. The kids represent the young generation, who obviously does not believe in class fixity, does not believe that there should be any kind of artificial division and classification of people, whether we're talking about religious hierarchy, whether we're talking about classes, whether we're talking about caste system. No, these are all artificial, man-made, uh, uh, um, discriminatory uh, things, and they should come to an end in the 21st century, right? So this is very interesting, and I'm telling you. Again, when we talk about the idea of intertextuality, the fact that for example, the Tale of Peter Rabbit, you have intertextual or intertextuality, where obviously the focus on texts and interpretations coming from other texts. But with Voices in the Park, you have visual intertextuality. So it's intertextuality because it extends to other texts, but there is an element of visuality, if you like, in it. The fact that you have those paintings and what they mean and their significance and everything. Again, when we talk about uh, voices in the park, we talk about this para-textual things. Remember when we spoke about all the details even before the story begins, when we talk about the fonts, when we talk about the title and where it is, the picture on the cover page, even the copyright details that we have at the end, they all matter, and they matter uh, uh, much in this context. Yeah, Fatma, go ahead. You're raising your hand.
Yes, doctor. Should we talk about Voices in the Park as a postmodern picture book?
Yeah, it is.
Should we
Uh,
mention that in exam or?
yeah, if it's if the question is about that, unless you have a set introduction that you're going to kind of apply in all the questions. Is that so? You have a
Yes.
paragraph that you're, yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But if
So
they about the postmodern, so we should imply the elements of postmodern.
if the question is about postmodernism and voices in the park, otherwise you're going to mention the fact that this is a postmodern piece of work, but you go beyond that and address the question.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So this is a possible
Okay.
question when we talk about elements of postmodernism and voices in the park. Remember when we talk about those turning of tables, the fact that we have a challenge of hierarchies. Um, so everything is unsettling in the novel. Look at the reversal of gender roles. The girl is more assertive. The boy is very feeble and is very non-assertive, very docile. Um, and lots of things when we talk about postmodernism and voices of the. Somebody was raising her hand. Yeah, Sandy, go ahead.
Doctor, for Voices in the Park, I just want to make sure about the themes. Is it
Mhm.
social prejudice, isolation, and the potential of for connection across class divides, or there like anything else I'm missing?
Yeah, we have class prejudice. We have class conflicts. We have, like you said, the young generation does not acknowledge those rigid artificial classification of people into classes and castes, and they are trying to reach out to each other. Yeah, this is perhaps new, or this is perhaps more postmodern, right? Uh, yeah, again, on the formal level, when we talk about the form, the focus is obviously on this idea of visual intertextuality. The focus is on the idea of paratextual elements. The focus is obviously on the pictures and how significant they are and how they manage to fill in the gaps that you see in the text. Hmm. Are you getting that, yes, Andy?
Yes, doctor.
Okay.
Doctor,
Yeah, go ahead.
what I meant earlier is what I wrote on the chat about the mother's attire. I wrote it on the chat.
Yeah, 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 that's true. Yeah, she reflects her class. She reflects the fact that she's a conservative lady. She wants to maintain the status quo, and the status quo is that she is high class. She is enjoying a lot of privileges in society. And obviously, the other classes, lower as they are, do not enjoy those privileges. So she has every what? She has every excuse and reason to maintain the status quo, to have this kind of class divide in because she enjoys all the privileges that are denied to the other class. Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, Layan, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, yeah, so let's now move to the Tale of Peter Rabbit. This is how we started, or where we started, and this is where we're ending. Again, we have spoken long and enough about the Tale of Peter Rabbit, talk about all kinds of ideas. We spoke about this confusion that we still have as whether the author is kind of making a statement against Peter and what he does, his infringements, or is she perhaps encouraging people to come out and kind of speak out against oppression and injustice? So it's all for up for grabs, and it depends on how you see things. It depends on your perspective. So Tom, I mean, the Tale of Peter Rabbit is full of ideas. Again, there is this talk about gender roles and whether those gender roles are traditional or are they defying our expectations. Remember the sisters and how docile and submissive they were and very obedient. Look at Peter and how rebellious he is, and the fact that he is challenging the authority of his mother. He goes out against the wishes and the commands of his mother. He takes risks, which is obviously typical of the male heroes of literature at the time, whether this literature is mainstream or children's literature. So obviously, uh, Peter is following the mold, is fitting the mold, if you like, where he lives up to the expectations of readers because he is, again, very observant of what male heroes have been doing down through the ages. The girls are also um, very typical in their attitudes, obedient, non-assertive, non-violent. They settle for whatever little they have in life. They don't have a voice of their own. Um, what else about the tale of Peter Rabbit? Spoke about it as being a fable, as being uh, yeah, of course, you know what a fable is, right? Where, like in the tales of Aesop, you have those anthropomorphic attitudes where animals are given human qualities, they speak, they love and hate, they pretty much do what human beings do, and they normally give us a moral lesson at the end. This is Aesop and his tales and stories. The point of contention in this picture book is that we don't know whether it's a fable in the sense of whether it has um, a moral lesson to it or not. Again, you need to always remember that the author was on the fence. She seems neutral. That's why you cannot safely say that it's a fable, because you never know whether what happened to Peter at the end when he ran, when he ran out of breath, running and escaping for his life, whether this was punishment for us to say that this is the moral lesson, or perhaps moving on and not being caught like his father and turned into a pie was reward enough. You don't really know where the author stands. Again, that's why we don't say fully that it is a fable. It is a fable in its in those aspects that link animals to humans in terms of human qualities. Again, the idea of anthropomorphism and how it is applied in the book, the fact that you have rabbits speaking and behaving like human beings. Uh, what else about the tale of Peter Rabbit? Again, we're talking about the idea of transgression. We're talking about the idea of challenging hierarchies, challenging authority, orthodoxies of all sorts. Yeah, Fatma, go ahead.
Yes, doctor. I have a question about the relationship between the text and the pictures and the picture code. Should we focus on this?
Well, it can be a question. It can be at least a short answer question, where obviously you highlight through examples the interdependence between the text and the picture. You need to perhaps highlight the fact that the picture is not here um, um, playing a secondary role. It's very important. Sometimes it's even more important than the text because the text stays silent on a number of issues. So you need to go back to the picture so that you can demystify whatever uh, 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 mysteries you have in the text. So you need to focus on that. You need to highlight through examples where, for example, Peter is in the pictures and where his oppressor is, and the angle of vision through which we see the events. They can make all the difference if you look at the picture.
So, doctor, is it important to mention examples in every answer?
Yeah, examples are very important. Yes. You can't be theoretical all the time. You need to, kind of, yeah, give examples and vivid examples. Yes, you need to mention examples.
Yes, okay.
Hmm. Okay, طيب, let me wrap things up and let me talk about what we are expecting of you. Again, I'm stressing the fact that you guys need to be very comprehensive. Comprehensive means شامل, شمولي, which means that you need to cover all the aspects of the question. And that will not happen unless you spend the right amount of time reading the question and highlighting the significant parts. Okay, so comprehensiveness is very important. Clarity, you need to be clear. So you need not be confusing. I mean, bringing in an idea and then the next idea is contradicting the first idea. So you need to be clear about what you're writing. You need to have flow. You need to develop your ideas. You need to provide vivid and relevant examples. You need to also have um, you need to polish your language. You need to. I know that mistakes happen in exams because of exam jitters and nervousness. But again, you still need to be careful with your spelling and grammar. Of course, we give you the benefit of the doubt and we don't tax you so much and so heavily on that, but you don't need to count on that. You have to be careful with your grammar and spelling. Again, one important idea would be the idea that you need to write. Again, if you ask me whether I should write much or write little, I would go for writing much. I can endure reading whatever you write, whether especially if it's much. But to give me a couple of sentences in every and each question and you come and expect high marks, this is not going to happen. You need to write sensibly, you need to write in a relevant way, and you need to write much. Okay?
Okay, doctor, I have a question. Can I?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
According to the short answers, should we write? Must we write titles or not?
No, you don't have to write titles because sometimes you come up with your own title, which is different from the question. So, as if you are setting your own question. So, we don't need a title because that question itself is your title. Any more questions?
But according to the essays question, we should write the titles, right or not?
Not. No. You shouldn't write a title.
Even for the essay questions.
Yeah. I said the question itself is your title. So don't invent titles that contradict with the question and you end up answering a totally different question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sandy?
Doctor, I don't know if you already spoke about how the form of the exam, but I just wanted to ask, how is the marks like divided and how do we expect the exam to be?
Let me remember. I think that's 50 marks. So you would have so if we
Maybe the short answers. Maybe the short answer. If every short answer. Both of the short answers. The total 10 marks, and maybe each essay 20 marks. Am I right?
well, yeah, I think so. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Is it going to be only 2 sections or 3 sections?
Yeah, 2 sections. One section for the short answers and the other for the long essays.
And there is no mandatory essay. It's going to be like choose 2 of the 3, right? Like the first part.
I think in the first part, the short answers, you would have like 3, and you're supposed to choose 2. In the long essays, I don't know whether sometimes, and I'm saying sometimes the close reading question is mandatory. Sometimes, I'm saying sometimes, I don't know. So if it's mandatory, so you have one more question from 2 to choose from.
Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome. So any more questions? Okay. Hi. I wish you all the best. Again, if you have any questions, you can always ask me on the WhatsApp group. And I wish you all the best. Inshallah, we either see you in future courses if this is not your last or final course, or we meet you inshallah in life. نسمع عنكم سمع خير. إن شاء الله you will have all the best. يلا نشوفكم على خير يا جماعة. السلام عليكم.
Thank you so much,
وعليكم
doctor.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
نشوفكم على خير.
شكرا دكتور.
لا مع السلامة.